Salut tout le monde, hi everyone. Today I will show you the present tense conjugation of two super important verbs, être and avoir, and tips on how to memorize them. Let's start with être, which means to be. Être is an irregular verb. That's why it seems like it makes no sense whatsoever, but as you will see, it is actually pretty easy. So here it goes. Je suis. Je suis. I am. Je suis français. Tu es. Tu es. You are. Tu es sympa. You're nice. Il est. Elle est. On est. Il est. Elle est. On est. He is, she is, we are. Il est grand. He is tall. Nous sommes. Nous sommes. We are. Nous sommes fatigués. We're tired. Vous êtes. Vous êtes. Vous êtes en retard. You're late. Ils sont. Elles sont. Elles sont célibataires. They are single. Right, now let me give you a few tips to help you memorize those verbs. First of all the final consonants in these verbs are silent. It seems to be a French specialty, just like baguette or pain au chocolat, we tend not to pronounce our final consonants. There was probably some huge sale on consonants and we thought, why not take them? So ignore all of those consonants. Second advice is about the pronunciation of the informal you are, he is, she is, and the informal we are. They all sound pretty much the same. Tu es, il est, elle est, on est. And of course, you won't have to pronounce that middle S in il est and elle est. More sales on consonants. Now, about the pronunciation of the plural or formal you are, you have to make sure you add a Z sound between the subject and the verb. So it means you're not going to say vous êtes, but instead you will have to say vous êtes. Vous êtes. What we do here is what we call in French a liaison. A liaison is a process that helps the language to sound smoother. The rules about liaison are pretty complicated. I'm not going to lie to you. So I will dedicate an entire video about the liaison. But for now, all you have to remember is that pronunciation. Vous êtes. Vous êtes. All right, time to move on to the second verb, which is avoir. Avoir, which means to have. Another irregular, yet really important verb. So here it comes. J'ai. J'ai. I have. J'ai deux chiens. I have two dogs. Tu as. Tu as. Tu as Instagram? Do you have Instagram? Il a. Elle a. On a. Il a un grand frère. He's got an older brother. Nous avons. Nous avons. We have. Nous avons un rendez-vous. We have an appointment. Vous avez. Vous avez. You have. Vous avez une belle maison. You have a nice house. Ils ont. Elles ont. Ils ont. Elles ont. They have. Elles ont une voiture rouge. They have a red car. Now, let me give you a few advice on how to memorize this conjugation. First of all, as you can see, they look quite alike with the verb to have. Well, at least they have the letter A and V in common. And for us French, I'm not going to lie to you, since we are totally unable to pronounce the English H, they look even more alike. I'm hungry, I'll have a hamburger with hot chili sauce. S'il vous plaît. Now, about the pronunciation of the singular you are, he has, she has, and the informal we have. They all sound the same. Tu as, il a, elle a, on a. Exactly the same pronunciation. And of course, don't bother pronouncing that S in tu as, otherwise it will sound like, well, you know what it's going to sound like. You get the idea. Now, another advice about vous avez. Alright, don't get freaked out by that EZ at the end of vous avez. It's actually pretty easy to remember. It's like the EZ in rendez-vous. Rendez-vous. It's exactly the same thing. Vous avez. Vous avez. Rendez-vous. Exactly the same sound. Now, about the pronunciation about the plural subjects. We have, you have, they have. Again, you have to make sure to add a Z sound between the subject and the verb. Again, that's that liaison I was telling you about earlier. Okay, so you do not say nous avons, but you have to say nous avons. Same thing with the vous. You cannot say vous avez. Instead, you must say vous avez. And finally, you do not say ils ont or elles ont, but you will say ils ont, elles ont. All right? Now, a new problem arises. They have and they are sound very similar. Okay? They are was ils sont. They have was ils ont. All right, so we need to make sure we differentiate those sounds. So they are, ils sont, is like with an S sound, like in summer. Ils sont. Ils sont. Whereas they have starts with a Z sound, like in zombie. Ils ont. Elles ont. Can you hear the difference? Ils sont, elles ont. So let's make sure you can actually hear a difference. So I'm going to say those a few times and you will try to guess which one I'm pronouncing. Ils ont. Ils sont. Ils sont. Ils ont. Ils sont. Ils ont. So let me know in the comments if you were able to recognize them. That's all from me for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you would like to learn more tips about the French language, feel free to subscribe. Merci beaucoup et à bientôt. Bye bye.